Now, I know there's a ton of questions on whether the DC Snyderverse is over or not. That'll probably be a next video. Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix. My name is Chris Wong. Today we're going to be talking about James Gunn talking more about Suicide Squad 3. A new interview came out with David Goyer where he talks about a studio note that was passed to him in regards to Man of Steel. David Goyer also talks about a rumored Man of Steel sequel. Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohan talks about their Flashpoint Batman and Joker. And finally, are they doing Batgirl versus Supergirl? What? Let's talk about James Gunn. Now, of course, James Gunn is doing the rounds now because the Suicide Squad comes out on August 6th. This is kind of jumping off from yesterday's video in where he talked about bringing something new to superhero movies to keep it from getting boring. And I guess one of those things is changing the theme or combining some other genre with the superhero genre. In which case, for the Suicide Squad, he was combining a war film with the superhero genre. This is what he had to say. I still really want to do a Western, and I would be happy to use the entire cast of the Suicide Squad again. Oh, that's interesting. So he wants to do a Suicide Squad 3, but a Western theme? It would definitely probably be an original take on the superhero genre. I'm only bringing this up because I really love Magnificent Seven, especially the new one with Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington. That to me is almost like a superhero movie in itself. Each character has their own set of skills. They're taking on an army of bad guys. That could just be me loving Seven Samurai and all types of adaptations of that awesome Akira Kurosawa movie. That's why I can't wait for Rebel Moon by Zack Snyder. But if James Gunn gets to do Suicide Squad 3, I guess depending on the success of the Suicide Squad, or maybe they're already letting him do it, I guess we should expect that the third one will be like a Western theme. Alright, it's been years since Man of Steel, but we're finally getting a little tidbit about Man of Steel and Warner Brothers at that time giving studio notes over to the Man of Steel crew. This is what David Goyer had to say on a recent interview. One note I got was on the Man of Steel, where the ending involves Superman utilizing the pod that he arrived in as a child in order to bring down General Zod's ship. The note we got from the studio said, "You have to change that." We asked why. They said, because if Superman uses that pod and it's destroyed while saving the city, how is he ever going back home to Krypton? There was just this long pause and we said, Krypton blew up. You saw that 30 minutes of it. What? What? That? Seriously, you gotta love Suits, man. Especially Suits that don't read comics or maybe don't even pay attention to the movie. They're just waiting to get to the next conference call or whatever. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Why would Eddie, even if you thought if it was the Christopher Reeve Superman, you know Krypton was gone already. Maybe they think this is a sequel to Superman Returns, where Krypton is it's still there. And are they clueless? So hopefully nowadays, where they're actually utilizing people like Jim Lee to actually tell them what the heck is going on. And I'm glad that they didn't change anything, because, oh my god, I gotta say, out of all three movies, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'd say Man of Steel is closest to what Zack Snyder, David Goyer, and Christopher Nolan envisioned for that movie. That's not all. He kind of talked about, Man of Steel 2? And a Hollywood Reporter asked this. Henry Cavill and others have advocated for a direct sequel to Man of Steel. I've heard rumors a sequel may be in the works, with Cavill on board. Although Warner Brothers said none is in development, does it feel like there's still unfinished business with that story? Of course there's unfinished business with that story. It was a 5-part arc. But I'm thinking they're not talking about Batman v Superman here and an actual sequel, an actual Man of Steel movie. But wait a minute. What rumors? David Goyer said this. I think so. I'm not involved in it right now. I've heard the same rumors you've heard. I'm not plugged into it. I've stepped away almost entirely from comic book related projects other than Sandman. Even David Goyer heard of those rumors. I'm sure those rumors were just the stuff we've seen on YouTube. And also that article like last year where they talked about Henry Cavill signing up for multiple contracts and probably to star not in his own movie, but actually cameoing in different DC films. And that was never really, solidified in stone that that's going to happen. We'll see. Black Adam, cross your fingers. But it's interesting to hear those rumors going around in that side of the industry. But are we going to get an actual Superman sequel, a solo film? We'll have to wait and see. Speaking of Superman, let's go back to Batman v Superman when Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohan starred as Thomas and Martha Wayne. And seeing those two individuals, just a little cameo where they barely have any spoken lines, we were always wondering, were they supposed to have been in a Flashpoint movie? Because he would have made a sick Thomas Wayne Batman, and she would have made a crazy Joker. Well, in a recent interview with Brandon Davis on comicbook.com, this is what they had to say.
Well, I know I've asked you a million times if you're going to play Thomas Wayne ever again, and I still want to see that, but I've never asked Lauren about the Joker version.
I would love Let It Be Said and known and documented here.
We have discussed it. Lauren and I have talked about that for years. I think her playing, I'd love to see her version of the Joker. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, it would be so cool. Listen, multiverse, one of these days, you never know if they ever give Zack a chance.
It's true. You really never know with DC in particular. But everything is so kind of complicated within the Snyderverse of it all.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. But Lauren and I have made it clear, and we're doing it again now.
Oh, come on, make it happen before he gets any older, because that would still be awesome. I would love it to see that. And they're clearly up for it. They're clearly like saying, hey, call us now. We want to be in that movie. There's room in that Flash movie. Andy Muschietti, please call them up now just for a small scene to see what that universe would have been like. That would be kind of cool. Speaking of another Bat and Soup story, well, this is kind of crazy. Now, I know I talked to you about Giant Freakin Robot and how they've been getting a lot of their scoops confirmed recently by major trades. Well, this one's kind of like, I don't know. Now that we have Sasha Calle as Supergirl, and we just recently learned that Leslie Grace is our new Batgirl, Giant Freakin Robot said they got this information from their trusted and proven insider. And when you click on the link, it goes to all the confirmed news reports. They have learned that Warner Bros. Is currently developing a Batgirl versus Supergirl movie. What? Hold on a second. You mean to tell me that the studio, it wants to go back into a Batman versus Superman type movie, but this time with Batgirl versus Supergirl? I don't know what to think of that. Like, for me, I'm like, is this the right site? Yeah, it says Giant Freakin Robot. And yeah, not all their scoops were confirmed, but they did list a whole bunch of them that were. So I'm still up in the air about this, but let's talk about it anyway. And I had to look again. It does say Batgirl versus Supergirl, but seeing how execs are, and they're always about putting the verses in there, because that is like a huge box office successful title. A versus Godzilla versus Kong, Freddy versus Jason, Aliens versus Predator, well, maybe not that one. And then Batman versus Superman was pretty successful in itself. Now, wait a second now. If this was based upon those rumors that the Flash movie is going to have a new timeline in which Batman versus Superman never happened, Justice League never happened, and Sasha Calle is playing a Kara Zor-El that came from Krypton, and Kal-El never showed up at all. That makes her the super in that world. And maybe in that world, which is not necessarily the Keaton universe, because the Flash could have brought Keaton into this new universe, is that Batgirl was the Batman of that universe. I guess I'm trying to say is the studio really trying to do like a gender swap Ben Affleck Batman versus a Henry Cavill Superman? I mean, I still remember Mark Hughes from Forbes saying that a long time ago, this is years now, that he already said the studio wants to do a Batgirl and Supergirl instead of a Batman and Superman. I don't know if I like where this is going, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. On the other hand, if the studio is really trying to get out of Snyderverse, which they've already said they would, it will kind of open up the Snyderverse to, be on HBO Max later on. And I guess I have more about that in the next video.